All right, I have some time before I get to go into my hotel. I have some time where I can talk about this movie. The detectives, they just rolled past me in a white Ford. All right, so yeah, they stay on me. They make sure they know where you are, and they're parading up and down the streets, making sure nobody, patrolling rather, not parading, nobody is doing anything weird around you. So those are detectives in that white Ford. Okay, so basically, guys, that tells you I have the kind of security Michael Jackson had. So they just stay in the background. So I'm out on Michigan Avenue right now, and I wanted to talk about this film. Let's talk about this film. I don't want to be a distraction. Okay, I don't want to be a distraction. So I decided to do my review this way. Why don't I want to be a distraction? It's really not about me. It's not about the fact that I don't have on any makeup right now. I don't, but it's me, and you know it's me. How do you know it's me? How do you know it's me? My voice isn't overdubbed. I'm outside right now, Michigan Avenue. That's how you know it's me, right? See that? So you know it's me, right? Is that me? That's me. Okay, now let's talk about it. Let's talk about this. I went in to see this movie after having to wait for some days, like 5 days. I couldn't see it. The early access, I knew I wasn't going to be able to see it. But come Friday, I'm really upset because I'm watching everybody go in, and I was supposed to have the money to go. There's a budget for my show, and your mother wants to have the purse string. So I feel like she's Joe. So if you saw the movie, you understand what I mean. So I call her Freddie, right? So this is like Joe. All right. So basically, Lisa wants to be Joe. So, someone that's like a challenge to me coming into my own, a challenge, right? That's what Michael went through. Okay. That's what Michael went through. That was the story. Okay. It's a coming of age superstar stepping into his superstardom story. The elements are all there, the universal themes of family, right? There has to be a villain. If he's a good guy, Michael's a good guy, that we got to have juxtapose that with a villain. We got to pick a villain. The villain would not be Jermaine. He's not overshadowing. This movie is not about him. It's not, and they did not single him out and even bring into focus anything about Jermaine, other than you see the lovely part in the movie. You see the lovely part of their relationship in the movie, of Jermaine singing with Michael, "I'll Be There," which is nostalgic for me because I remember that era. So basically, yeah, you lived through every era, okay? Except the 60s, since I wasn't born. But by the time I was born, they were well on their way as the Jackson 5. They were well on their way. So, Michael was born in the 50s. Okay? He was born in the 50s. I was born in the 70s. So, they were well on their way. They were well on their way. It was a Michael Jackson cartoon and such. We didn't really get to see much of that, the deals that they got. Like, they sort of went from his childhood, because it's a 2-hour movie. The miniseries gave you a more in-depth look at each stage. Why? Because they had 2 nights to do it. This is a 2-hour and 22 minutes fantastic look at the ascension of Michael Jackson into superstardom and what made him that. You can't have everything in a 2-hour and 22 minute film. So I went in with a nitpicky eye because I want to give a fair and a balanced review. So I'm just telling you right off the bat, what you're going to get is pure entertainment. This is like a concert film in many ways. So those of us reliving the era are dancing and singing in our seats with each song. We're happy to hear and see him on stage. We feel we're seeing him on stage. I didn't believe his family. Because to me, nobody can be Michael Jackson. But we'll get to that. Jafar is likable. He's a movie star. He's likable. So you can't dislike Jafar. Why? He's likable. Did I like that? If he has critics, the critics are obviously nitpicking. So I went in with a nitpicky eye. They're hating on Jafar, okay? Can you believe I'm saying this? They're hating on Jafar. Why? Because Jafar is so likable. You can't really give a bad review. Why, they stuck to the script. I love the fact that they show his relationship with Bill Bray. This is something only fans would know, like fans who go all the way back. Most of y'all don't know the role Bill Bray played. This is a security guy. I remember when he passed away, and it was so sad because I was like, oh my goodness, this is the end of an era. Bill was Michael's like right-hand guy, all of theirs, like security. He watched them, when they were little. They'd have water fights, balloons, dropping balloons out of hotel windows. He was there to like keep the kids in line, sort of. He traveled with them, all the crush of fans coming at him. He was responsible for holding back the crowds and just being like a confidant and almost like a babysitter. Michael, childlike spirit. I love the part when you see him like holding Bill Bray's shoulders, walking behind him. They love to play pranks. Michael was a big prankster. So they love to play like pranks on Bill all the time. So I remember that. We read about that in magazines. So basically, a lot, right? So I'm sitting there and I have to juxtapose what I know based on what I know from books and such, and then what I'm seeing. They can't put it all on film. This is the challenge. This is the challenge that the Training Day director had. I can't imagine what that must be like. Fools are gonna judge this. Good people are gonna judge this. Fans are gonna judge this. Critics can represent fools sometimes because they're going in, and that's their job. That's their job, to give you the negatives. That's how critics work in most cases. They gotta find something. That's why they're called movie critics. So don't forget that. So I went in with a nitpicky eye too. And I'm thinking, all right, I'm going to give this a chance. I love Michael Jackson. That's why I'm here. I'm not going to beat up on the cast. People will swear I'm being a hater. But by the middle of this movie, I forgot that I was supposed to have a nitpicky eye. Well, you get sucked into the story. It's the story I know. I can't really find any fault in this movie. I'm now just totally relaxed and dancing to each song I hear. Why? Because I get to relive the era. If you are a music lover, if you are a music fan, you're going to say this is an excellent film for entertainment. Not to juxtapose against the miniseries. Yes, the miniseries was outstanding. I still say see it. Then you may get a little bit more of an in-depth look into the same story. It's the same story. They really didn't detour. There was no Hollywood fluff. I've heard people say, well, it's like, how much of it is Hollywood? No, this is real. This is the story. You can't get any realer. Okay? The miniseries didn't show us Michael getting beatings. And we saw Marlon getting the whippings and Michael running and challenging Joe. You didn't get why there was such a contentious relationship. This movie set Joe up to be the villain. It did. Why? Because he wants to get his kids out the steel mill. So he's the villain. The mother's the good guy. Good cop, bad cop. The mother is who he can rely on. Joe is who they're all afraid of. He ruled with an iron fist. But why? Because he was afraid of them living the way he had lived his life. He didn't want them to end up in the steel mills. So you can justify the villain in this movie. He wasn't all bad. You have empathy for him because he just doesn't want to lose his sons. So enter Berry Gordy when they signed to Motown. Berry is fatherly. He's like the father they didn't have. He talked to them. There was no corporal punishment. He took his time and was patient with them. Yeah, he would give Michael an order when you're in that booth, keep your feet still, right? He wouldn't, Joe, let me have 5 minutes with him. Like he's going to whip him into, no, Joe, we got this, all right? We got this. You don't need to do any of that. And Michael responded the best he could because he had music in him. He couldn't keep those feet still. So that's a really good point here. Michael had music in him. Okay, we're jumping around a lot, but you need to know. If you don't know, now you know. This man was born to do what he's doing. He couldn't obey Joe. He couldn't even obey Mr. Gordy. He had to move those feet. They told him that all the time in studio sessions. Why? Move on to Quincy Jones years later. He's making a solo record off the wall. Keep those feet still. He couldn't keep those feet still. He had the music in it. That was one of his things. Like, he moved a lot when he's singing. Why? He's feeling it. This is a showman. This is a dancer. This is a singer. This is a man with music in him. And that gets us to the next point. Why he had to separate from his family was not out of ambitiousness and selfishness. He had music in him. He really just wanted to get that out. Okay? He wanted to be the biggest star in the world. That's covered. He wanted to be the biggest and the brightest. Why? You say that's ambition. That's why he was here. So he was here to be who he became, the biggest star in the world. Okay? The movie gives us a look at the ascension of a superstar. That's what we're seeing, all the makings of it. They can't just focus on one thing here for 2 hours and one thing. It would have been like a 5-6 hour movie. So they had to sort of cram it into 2 hours and 22 minutes. His life feels bigger than that. So that's why I sat in the chair when it was over. I didn't want it to be over. It went by so fast that you don't realize 2 hours and 22 minutes have gone by. So why? Because you don't want it to be over. You get sucked into this story. That's why I know the story. And when you know the story and it's accurate, you just get sucked into it. You don't realize, I didn't look at my phone like one time to see what time it is. I do this in movies all the time. Before I know it must be the end when it's bad and he's doing bad. And I'm like, I know it ends in 1988. Right, that's how the movie ends, and we want more. I didn't want to leave my seat. So why? Because I didn't want it to be over. I didn't want it to be over. And I think most people felt that way. It was so fun. It was so fun. It was so fun to relive and sing Human Nature, which is one of my favorite songs. That was like a highlight for me. Seeing him with the brothers on the Victory Tour, reliving even the burn situation during the filming of the Pepsi commercial, which was a huge time in his career. It was like, again, at the point where Thriller had made him a superstar. Okay? Bad, he was reaping the benefits of Thriller. And he was globally just dominating at this point. So that's how it ends. That's how it ends. So I'm giving you a short form. It's just amazing to watch Jafar. I wasn't sure when I went in. I wasn't sure, but it's always good to go in that way because you were not disappointed. So he is so likable. You can't say anything bad about Jafar. Listen, you will talk about the makeup in certain points. Point taken. He is not a replica of Michael Jackson. He doesn't necessarily look like Michael Jackson in every era, but you don't really feel that. Meaning, no, he's not a dead ringer from Michael Jackson. That doesn't matter. He embodies the spirit of Michael Jackson. So, right, nobody looks exactly like MJ, but he is so believable that the voice, like the way he speaks, just the nature, his sensitive nature comes through on film. You can see that he took this seriously. So you are an actor. That's all I was looking for. Denzel Washington in Malcolm X. He does not technically look like Malcolm X, but he transformed to a point where we're like, I believe you. You know, we couldn't separate the two. I was hoping that I was sucked into the story. Well, it's just, we knew we were watching Jafar, and I do not want to be dishonest with you. I knew that would be the one barrier for me, because, you know, I once said nobody can play Michael Jackson. Well, if that's just your love for Michael Jackson, Jafar pleasantly surprised me. So that's no joke. You know me, I'm not afraid to push the controversy button and say all kinds of wild things. He's so likable, though. Like Michael, so likable. You feel you have a piece of Michael again. Like the spirit of Michael, he's embodying the spirit of Michael Jackson. Like this, he's a conduit for Michael's energy to come through again, which is why we're rocking in our seats to this, and it is believable. It's not believable that he is imitating. It's like he's embodying the same qualities, which made me happy. You're smiling at him on the stage, not frowning. I'm rooting for him. I'm dancing in my seat. It's like you're watching Michael Jackson. I see why his family said that. I didn't believe you. I'm not going to lie. Tell the brothers. I wasn't sure. I was thinking maybe they're just emotional. But no, I'm singing. Like, I never do this in movies. And I'm like, yeah, oh yeah, do that. Oh yeah, I'm like into it. I'm like, oh my goodness, this is so good. So even through the credits, they played one of me and my mother's favorite songs, Heartbreak Hotel. So they were playing all the Jackson's favorites, like all the favorites. Like, this is what Marlon Jackson said, a family-oriented film. Meaning, if you are in a situation with family, it's not perfect all the time. These types of films bring families back together and sometimes help people strengthen their own bonds and realize, look, even the Jacksons went through their stuff. But you don't want your family members to be gone. They're dealing with intense pain when you see, these movies. You know that. And grief, Michael is gone. This is the way we get him back. We have him immortalized on film. It's like his energy. And I'm sure he would be proud of the job that his nephew did. And I'm sure that he would approve of this project. Why? They didn't sensationalize anything. Nothing was sensationalized. This wasn't Hollywood fudge. I know the story. I read this book. This is the story. So for people going in wanting to see something else, well, then you should just see a different movie. Because honestly, this is the movie. Any hater type energy is clearly a hater type energy. If you're dissing the movie, you're off. This movie is the Michael Jackson story. It is. When you say fluff, we only cover to 1988. So it's only till then. So this is about the ascension of that superstar. You know how we build people up to bring them down. The next part would be the parts that maybe the haters want to see. America sometimes likes to build up to tear down. Right, with rules and such. And to be fair, we know this is a training day, director. I went in wanting to hit him too. I wanted to hit you if you're reading or listening to this. I wanted something. I wanted to be like Spike should have done it. And I still feel Spike has a special touch, but this is the director, and we knew this was going to be heavy on ambition. He said out of his mouth, and this is true, Michael believed that he should outsell himself. He was just competing with himself. He wanted to bring his fans the best. So he wanted the kind of record that would touch fans all over the world. It really wasn't ambition in the sense of I want to be the one to make the most and all that. No, but you'll say just that slight ambition is why we saw what happens next. And I don't really like living there. I don't like living in that energy. So I like living in the reality, which is Michael was all about the love for the music and that slight. I mean, he's in the music business. It's a business. Being the biggest star in the world. Why? Because he was born to be that and punished for that by rules because his innocent nature wouldn't allow him to see. He didn't want it for bad reasons or for reasons that would be justifiable in terms of evil being done to him. There was no justification for the evil that lives in the world that would come after his bright spirit. He was meant to be the biggest star in the world. He was just embodying what God had already given him to do, and he spoke it, and he became it. He was the biggest star in the world in the 80s and beyond. Still, there was no one to match, but then the media focuses on the decline after the bad era, and the numbers weren't the same, and Dangerous didn't meet the previous records numbers. He was still selling millions. He was still a global superstar. Okay, but again, I witnessed all of this. So it ends in 1988, right? Yeah, that's where the movie ends, at the height of his career. The bad era was the height of the pandemonium. And we got to live it again like it's new. And that's the point of these movies. You just feel so amazing sitting in that seat. And I wanted a longer movie. I wanted to like a part 2 that I could see tonight. Instead, me, I'll be back at AMC because I got to see it again. So that's how it was really good to me. It was just good to experience this. The story though. I love what I saw. What I will say in the true nature of being Kelle, because I have to give a fair and balanced review. What I would love to have seen would have been more of the family interaction, meaning you could see, and I mentioned this before even seeing the movie, you could see how he felt a little ostracized, like on the tour bus during one of their tours before the Victory Tour, and they're traveling around together, and the brothers are all talking, and he's sitting there with his pen, he's writing songs, he's in his music, he's sort of watching them, but he didn't feel a part of the group anymore. They had gotten married. They didn't have much in common. Or when he bought the Twister game, he wanted to play Twister with him. And they're like, Mike, I got to go home. I got to be with my family later. Right. So you see that? The family theme. The family theme is there. They're his family. They've created new families. It isn't jealousy as in envy and wanting what you have. No, it's just I want some of your time too. It'd be like the old days. He liked the old days. They were all together, right? So that wasn't really developed as much because this is a 2-hour and 22-minute movie. So you get the gist. All you got to do, as I said before, is watch the miniseries. It gives you a little more of that. It gives you a little more of what happened with the Victory Tour as well. So Deon Cole from our city plays Don King, which is really interesting to me. That's an interesting choice. He did a good job. He played Don King. Yeah, Don King. And Joe were the Svengalis with this, Victory Tour. So it wasn't developed as well how the brothers really wanted to do this tour and really wanted Mike back on stage with them. So, and in the miniseries, the mother asked him, Catherine, in the miniseries, this was the original story. He only did it because his mother asked. That was taken out. So in this version, Nia Long, who plays Katherine Jackson, and surprisingly, as I said before, did a really good job. So why? It was like a quiet strength and just sort of the backbone, but just really seriously stood up for them when she had to. Like Angela Bassett's version of Katherine Jackson when she told him, you can't whoop them no more. What you gonna do, Joe? They grown. Like, you can't do that now. So Nia's version was pretty much to script. What we know, that's how Catherine managed. If Joe went too far, she'd step up for them and try to console Michael. And she was like his bestie and was there for him. So basically, she said, do this one time for your brothers. In the miniseries, you'll see this. Catherine was more persuasive and knew how important this was. And they were very proud. And she sat beside Joe. And I remember seeing the footage. They attended the Victory Tour together. It was a united front. And the whole world was behind the Victory Tour to get the brothers back on stage together. I mean, this was the biggest thing in America at that time. Right here in Chicago, I saw the Victory Tour twice in one weekend. So why? Because of, and this ain't about me, but it was because of someone who passed away, unfortunately, a couple people. Felicia Pilcher begged Miss Carrie McKelvin to give us the money to go see it a second time. We had seen it on a Friday. We went back on a Sunday. So this is how big they were. We could not sleep. We could not rest. We saw it and was like, we got to go back. We're crying about going back. How can we not see it? Is they playing 3 nights? Oprah Winfrey was there. And so I remember that dancing in front of us. We had floor seats. They had set up fold-up chairs down on the field. It was insane. It had rained. So we were there. We witnessed history. Michael Jackson 2 times in one weekend. And of course, I saw the Bad Tour when I was 16, which me and my mother scalped tickets. So why? Because they had sold out at the box office. So we had to buy them off somebody in River North. And some woman who was going to Florida. And she sold us 2 tickets. So there. So I'm not perfect. All right. So basically, this is like reliving. You have all these fabulous stories yourself attached to Michael Jackson. And right here, you see Water Tower? Right. I'm going to show you something. Right behind Water Tower is a Ritz-Carlton. I went there looking for Michael Jackson. With Felicia Pilcher in 1988, we were 2 Michael Jackson fanatics. She wore the beaded jacket, and I just wore my regular old clothes. She was trying to be Michael Jackson. Me, I was trying to marry Michael Jackson. So basically, we went into this hotel looking for him. And this is a true story. We went up to the top floor because we knew he'd be on the top floor. He's the biggest star in the world. So we went there. This is during the bad era. We went there. I had a letter, and I wanted to give him the letter. So basically, I don't know if he ever got it, but I'll say this. I was on a mission. The security guard stopped us when we got to the floor. That's how we knew he was in there. There was a security guard standing in front of his door telling us to get out of there. Nope, you got to go back downstairs. So basically, he was standing in front of Michael's door. Now, after this, I went to the front desk. There's a white woman at the front desk. Can you please give this to Michael Jackson? It's Michael Jackson standing here. I can't give out any information about guests. Can you please give this letter to him? She took the letter, looked at me, took the letter. Yes, because he's here, and I'm going to take this letter from this girl. So it must have been something in my voice. Can you please give this to Michael Jackson? She took the letter, and if it was delivered to him, then he had a letter from me. Okay, so a fan letter. So basically, that is all I needed to know. That's all I needed to know. We love Michael Jackson. This reminds me of all those memories. Jafar, people who love Michael Jackson should just say thank you. Why? Because it means the world to see this era again on video. It's going to totally lift spirits. Now, you can decide for yourself if you want to nitpick and it wasn't developed enough here or there. Watch the miniseries. That's all I can tell you. This is a 2-hour movie. It's a 2-hour movie. You can only put so much into a 2-hour movie in 22 minutes. You know, you can only cram so much in. And you sort of feel that way, like you want more. Like Malcolm X's movie was like 3 hours. You feel like you just have to have more. That's what it is. That's the only real criticism. And as well as it has done at the box office, there has to be a part 2. And maybe it'll be longer. Maybe this was like to see, moviegoers are sometimes antsy in their seats. Maybe, just maybe, they will give us more. So the performances were great, though. Coleman Domingo was excellent as Joe Jackson, as Lawrence Hilton Jacobs was in the miniseries. So I juxtapose the performances in the movie to the performances in the miniseries. This is one of the things that I love. Like, I love that miniseries. So everyone was spot on. The young child who plays Michael was really endearing. And he was endearing. So I didn't expect that either. I was like, oh God, no. I hope this child can stand up to what we know of Michael in the Jackson 5. He was so pure, Michael. So, it's very hard to find them. He's very convincing, and he did a very good job. So Coleman Domingo definitely stood out as Joe. So he embodied Joe totally. And Nia did a great job. I was shocked. No offense to her, but I just didn't know. I didn't know if it was too much. But she played Catherine as a woman with quiet strength, which is true, was a backbone. The facial expressions were there. So, yeah, you could see, like, she almost, I don't know if she studied her or not, but, a woman of great strength who had her family's back and was there to console when there was a problem with Joe. You could see that. So definitely the one they call mother. There was great admiration and respect for her, and that comes through. And rightly so. That comes through. So if you see this, you will feel that. If you felt the motherly instinct through Nia, you felt the protective nature of Catherine and why he could survive, the situation with Joe. Meaning Joe did what he knew how to do. I don't want to vilify him, but in the movie, in any movie, you have to have a person who overcomes, something. Joe was what he had to overcome. His coming of age, his ascension into superstardom. And yes, he wanted it. Why? Because he was born to do this. So it's not ambition for the sake of being the biggest star in the world. It's because Michael was born to be this. So that's the natural path when you're born to do something. His relationship with the animals. He's a pure soul. He's like an animal whisperer. You feel this. You feel this when you know the story. his eccentric nature was touched upon there, like with Bubbles, and he had a snake and all that. Also, the way his love for children. Now, he'd go to the burn unit when he's the one with the big burn on his head. He could have died. It was that serious, and nobody really touched upon that in the media back then. It was just, oh, he lost a quarter size of his hair. That's the story we got. He could have died if his clothes had caught on fire. The doctors in the movie talk about this. Joe is concerned about, will he perform again? And his mother is like, he just, he's been burned, Joe. Like, we need to focus on him being well. Nia sitting crying with him, because of what he had just gone through, the trauma. Right. So it was a touching scene, a very touching scene. I was impressed. I have to say, I was thoroughly impressed. So I'm not one to give you a very long review. If I don't like something, I just say, well, it was nice. You don't want to say anything bad. Oh, it was nice, but I prefer something else. This was really seriously entertaining. So if you're in it just for entertainment value and you don't even know the story, you will follow and understand the themes are there. His father was his barrier, he felt, in some ways, to becoming who he wanted to become. He had to break away. That's all. He just had to break away from that control. And Joe did what he knew how to do. He did. That's all. He did what he knew how to do. So it's not a villain for the sake of being a villain. It's just, you have to show how harsh it was for Michael and why he had a contentious relationship with Joe and why everyone sort of feared Joe because nobody could tell Joe no. That's sort of the way it was. So at the end of the day, it was spot on in terms of understanding Michael. It gives you a good understanding of Michael. So that's the honest and fair review. And it leaves you on a high note. It's the height of his career. So you don't want to leave. You just want more. And you want to see more. You want to see more. So I lived through the era. This isn't about race. It isn't about color, creed, or religion, or whatever you believe. It's not even about that. It's about family. It's about personal pursuits. It's about that word ambition. And it's about creativity. It's about being born to be something. It's about having to overcome the obstacles that are in your way to becoming whatever you want to become, that are in place purposely to help develop you. If he hadn't gone through the things he had gone through with Joe, he wouldn't be able to handle the world. And he did so for a long time. He was tough enough to be able to handle whatever was thrown at him. And creatively, it never put his light out. Michael Jackson deserves a movie, and everybody who's gone to the box office, you can see he's still revered as a global anomaly, not just a superstar, not just an icon, not just a legend. Those words are too small. So this man is an anomaly that we have experienced in this world. He's different, and there's no getting around it. And Jafar, you totally did your thing with this role. That's what I would say. I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting, well, of course they're going to give him praise. It's Jermaine's son. I mean, what are we going to say? But after sitting in there for a while, you just lose all kinds of critical thinking. You're just sucked into the story and you're rooting for him. Why? Because as he's dancing across the stage, he's Michael to you. This is as close as we'll ever get again. So for that, everyone who loves Michael Jackson would have to thank him for that performance. That was amazing. So, and Fuqua, you surprised me. Good. That's great. Training Day director. Well, he's done great work with Denzel. We know. I mean, from the Training Day director, that's on the poster and I knew it'd be heavy on ambition. It is there. No matter how innocent it is, it's punishable in America. So just note that it's not Michael's fault that he's so great. It's not Michael's fault. He's born with music in him. He just had to get it out. And that's, I'm sure, what the brothers would say. Yeah, he wanting to be the biggest star, he's innocent with it. Why? Because you're born to be this. This is like God talking through you. This is who you're supposed to be. But our society punishes us. It does. It does. Our society punishes people who are anomalies. So everybody's supposed to be like everybody else. And you're not supposed to be bigger or better. They touched upon that. You think you're better than the brothers? You think you're better than us? No, he was just being him. He was born with a special light. His mother mentioned Jehovah. They were Jehovah's Witnesses. Jehovah would want you to shine your light in the world. And that's exactly what he did. So, folks, Michael Jackson lives on forever, immortalized through Jafar on film. This is wonderful. It feels like a concert film at times. But he's so close. As I saw a clip of Tito Jackson having said that, he's so close. He's just so close. Yes, he's so close with just mannerisms, the speech. Yeah, I don't even care about the makeup. I can understand if Janet really had a critique about the makeup. He can't really look exactly like Michael because he doesn't. So, that's going to be the hurdle for anybody. So the makeup would have been what it would be for anybody, right? Because it's like me trying to play Michael Jackson. The makeup, you say, this is horrible. Like, she don't look like Michael. No, I don't. So, but Jafar is close as it pertains to transforming, meaning there are qualities that make you believe someone is the person they're depicting on film, portraying, because of the fact that it's more than just the physical. So he has embodied the spirit, the performance, the love for Michael. His music is all there, and it's all there, and the fans believe you. You see the box office, the fans believe you, and I'm going to tell you if it's bad. I'm going to tell you. I'm bad. He was good. So, right. I would have been bad trying to play Michael Jackson because I'd be imitating. He became Michael Jackson on stage for us. I do believe that. I think the barriers would be for people who go in with unrealistic expectations. I didn't lower my expectation at all. I mean, wanting to actually see Michael Jackson. Well, this is not a hologram. This is a person portraying him. Right. You want to see like Tupac in concert now, or Biggie. Like we all would love that, or Michael for real. Well, then that's something different. That means just get a bunch of footage of Michael Jackson, put it together in a concert film type way. Get old footage and documentary type footage. Spike Lee's good at that kind of thing too. So I mean, that's another film though. That's a different take where you get real life footage. I was hoping they would add some of that in at the end so we could sit there and actually watch the real Michael Jackson. I was hoping for that. Why? During the credits. Why? Because that's, it's like seeing Buddy Guy at the end of Sinners. It's like the final statement. This is who he portrayed. I wanted that. And some filmmakers would have done that. I wanted real bad footage at the end while the credits are going. I thought that would have sealed it. This is who he was portraying. And I think that would have been brilliant. That's a tip for the next one. Because, we were hearing the music. We want to see real victory tour footage and stuff. I would have loved that throughout the movie, actually. I think that would have been a touch that Spike would have given us. No offense to Fuqua, but this was great. It was excellent. So we're just giving a few tips in terms of, research what we would have liked to see during the credits. That doesn't overshadow Jafar at all. It does not. It just sort of drives the point home. Fans want to see real footage of Michael at the end. This is a Michael Jackson movie. This is, this is the final statement. Michael throwing down the gauntlet. Yes, this is me. This is me. So I would have loved to have seen that at the end. But there's no complaint about this movie. You will be thoroughly entertained. It is something you can take your kids to see, as Marlon has said, and teach them about the importance of family and staying bonded even when one becomes a superstar, and remaining supportive of each other, and you being the voices, even now, to protect his legacy from the crazies. Because some people wanted to see a sensationalized version of his life, and we didn't see that. We saw something that's pretty true to form. So it's so good, I need to see it again. So this is Discount Wednesday, and I promised myself I was going to see this at least twice this week. And then, my friends, we move on, of course, to The Devil Wears Prada. And we're going to see Michael some more anyway. So I don't want to say how many times I'd see it. Just like Sinners, I saw it as many times as I could between the time it was in the theater and between the time it was there and the time it left. So we are definitely, kids, in love with the movie. I think it just gives us the feeling that we get more of Michael again. So it's nice to relive the eras. And it's 2 hours and 22 minutes worth of entertainment that is wholesome. And it's definitely appropriate for kids. You see a lot of kids in the theater with parents. It's amazing. It's great as a matinee. It's great as a matinee. You'll just love it. Get your popcorn, get your snacks, and just sink into those seats and enjoy. So this is Kelle Delon, New and Skinner. I hope you enjoyed the review, because y'all know I'm going to see it again. And this is a conversation that's ongoing. And we're going to continue, I'm sure, to talk about Michael Jackson for years to come. And this movie is one of the reasons that we keep his music and legacy alive. Have a good day.